There is a specific kind of stuck that does not announce itself as broken. The connection is not gone, it is just not moving. The feeling is not absent, it is just not landing anywhere. The situation is not failed, it is just not resolving. You keep almost having something in your love life, and then you watch it stall again at the same invisible threshold. Not dramatically, not with the clean grief of something that ended, with the particular, exhausting ambiguity of something that is real, but cannot seem to find its expression, its reciprocation, its next step. You have been patient. You have been doing the honest internal work of checking whether the fault is yours, whether the desire is genuine, whether you are asking for something that is actually available or something you have constructed in the hope that it could exist. You have gone back and forth on this enough times that the going back and forth has become its own variety of tiredness. And the thing that makes it hardest to name to someone else, the thing that keeps it private and held in the interior rather than spoken, is that nothing is dramatically wrong. There is no clear injury. There is no obvious villain. There is just the specific, persistent, been going on longer than I can account for quality of a love life that has been frozen at the threshold of what you actually want. Today that freezing ends. Today the energetic architecture that has been holding everything in place, the invisible resistance that kept the almost there from becoming actually there, lifts. And what was blocked begins, today, to flow. Venus has been retrograde. For several weeks, the planet that governs love, attraction, and the flow of genuine connection has been moving backward through the sky. And that backward motion has had a specific, concrete, this is why everything stalled effect on the landscape of love and connection in your life and in the lives of everyone around you. Venus retrograde is not punishment. It is not the universe withholding what you want to make a point about your readiness or your deservingness. It is a review cycle, the universe's specific, deliberate process of evaluating what is real in matters of love before allowing it to move forward. During a Venus retrograde, the energy of love and connection is held in a kind of assessment. What is genuine gets clarified. What is built on illusion gets revealed. What is worthy of investment gets distinguished from what has been consuming energy without producing genuine reciprocal connection. What needs to be released gets released. What needs to be seen more clearly before it can proceed gets seen. This process is uncomfortable when you are inside it. The feelings that cannot find their outlet feel thwarted. The connections that keep hitting walls feel like failures. The situations that stall and stall without resolving feel like the universe has made some error in the organization of your life. But the process is not an error. It is the most loving thing the universe does in the realm of relationships. It prevents you from investing your full heart in something that was not yet ready to receive it, or from committing to something that was not actually what it appeared to be, by holding everything in review until the assessment is complete. The assessment is complete. Venus is going direct today. The review cycle is over. The retrograde ends. Everything that felt like delay during the Venus retrograde was actually refinement. I want to say that clearly and specifically because understanding what the retrograde was doing to each of the stuck situations in your love life changes how you receive what is about to move. The connection that stalled, the one where the energy between you and someone specific kept hitting that invisible threshold and then falling back, was being tested. The retrograde was evaluating whether what you felt and what they felt was genuine, was reciprocal, was the kind of real that survives without momentum. What survives a Venus retrograde is what is actually true. What disappears or reveals itself as something other than what it seemed. That was the retrograde doing its most honest and most ultimately compassionate work. If the connection is still there, if the feeling is still present, if the situation is still unresolved because it is genuinely unresolved rather than because it has quietly completed, then what the retrograde was building in that connection is the specific quality of tested realness that everything lasting is made of. The feeling that survived the weeks of not finding its outlet is not a weaker feeling for having been held. It is a confirmed one. It has been assessed and it passed. And today it is free to move. The feelings that couldn't find their expression during the retrograde were being clarified. Something about the way they would have been expressed before the retrograde began would not have been the complete or the honest version. The retrograde held them until the clarity arrived, until what needed to be said could be said in the form that actually matches what is true rather than the form that is easier or more immediately available. Today the clarity is present. Today the expression can happen. The situations that kept hitting walls were being reviewed for integrity. Something about proceeding with them before the review was complete would have moved them in a direction that the assessment would have eventually corrected, and the correction later is always more costly than the delay now. The walls were not obstacles placed between you and what you want. They were the boundary of the review zone. Today the review is complete. Today the walls come down. If this work is touching something in you, there is a link in the description to support this mission. Contribute only if you feel peace in your heart. Each support keeps these messages reaching those who need it. Venus Direct means that the energetic flow of love and genuine connection, which has been reversed, held in assessment, moving backward through the territory of what was real and what needed to be clarified, is restored today to its natural forward-moving, delivering direction. What was flowing backward flows forward again. What was held in review is released to move. What was approaching but hitting the retrograde's resistance now has the clear, open path that the direct motion creates. For you, today, this means something specific and something practical, and something that deserves to be received with the full, open, "This is actually happening" quality of someone who has been waiting a long time and finally sees the path clear. The energetic block that has been sitting between you and what you want in love is gone. The invisible resistance that made every advance feel like wading through something, that made what should have been simple feel impossibly complex, that made what was real feel inexplicably stalled, that resistance has lifted. The path between you and what you have been moving toward is clear today in a way it has not been clear for weeks. This means the connection that was almost there can now arrive. The final step that the retrograde was holding is now available to be taken. The feeling that was almost expressed has now found its conditions. The situation that was almost resolved has now the space to complete its resolution. The door that was open in every other sense, but somehow couldn't be walked through, is walkable today. And what Venus Direct delivers on its first day of forward motion is not the quiet beginning of a long, gradual restoration. Venus Direct, especially after a retrograde that was as definitive as this one in its work of assessment and refinement, delivers with immediacy. The first day of Venus Direct is the most charged day for receiving what the retrograde was preparing. Not because the energy diminishes after today. It doesn't. Venus will be moving in its natural direction for months. But because the first day of forward motion carries the full, released, pressure of the retrograde finally resolved force of everything that was held in assessment now becoming available to move. What does this look like in the specific hours of today and the days immediately following it? I want to describe this concretely because Venus Direct does not always arrive with the announcement that makes it easy to recognize for what it is. Someone who went quiet during the retrograde, whose silence has been carrying that specific weight of something unresolved rather than something concluded, may reach out. Not necessarily with the full declaration of what was held back, not necessarily with the resolution in the first message, but with the specific reaching back out that the retrograde was preventing. A small opening, a re-established contact, the first words of a conversation that has more to say. When this happens today or in the days immediately following, receive it as what it is: the retrograde's release in action, the person on the other end of a real connection finding that the block that was preventing their movement has lifted. A conversation that stalled, that got to a certain point, and then stopped moving without either person fully explaining why, without the natural resolution that a conversation of that kind should have found, may find its continuation. The next exchange, when it comes, will have access to the clarity that the retrograde produced. The things that could not be said before because they were not yet fully clear will be available now. The conversation that resumes under Venus direct is not picking up where it left off. It is picking up from a more refined, more honest, more genuinely aligned place than where it left off. A feeling that has been held back, that has been present and real and unable to find its expression because the timing was wrong, or the words weren't ready, or the retrograde's energy was preventing the alignment that genuine expression requires, may finally find its voice. Today or in the days ahead, watch for the impulse to say the thing that has been almost said. Watch for the moment when what has been interior finds the channel to become exterior. When that moment comes, trust it. Venus direct has cleared the way for exactly this. An opportunity for connection that seemed to have passed, that appeared during the retrograde, seemed promising, and then for some reason couldn't quite materialize, may reappear. Venus direct has a specific quality of retrieval for the things that were real, but not yet timely. The opportunity that the retrograde was not equipped to deliver may return under Venus direct in a form that is now actually available to be received. Not exactly as it first appeared, refined by what the retrograde clarified. More real, more appropriate to who you actually are and what you actually need than the version that would have arrived if the retrograde had not intervened. If you feel that this channel has been a support for your spiritual journey, consider strengthening this mission. The link is in the pinned comment. All support is received with deep gratitude. Venus going direct does not create new love out of nothing. This is important to understand, because the expectation of something miraculous and unprecedented arriving today would be the wrong orientation toward what the day actually offers. Venus direct delivers what was always real and always meant to arrive, what the retrograde was testing, clarifying, and refining throughout the period of its backward motion. It delivers the genuine, the tested, the things that were true before the retrograde began and are more fully true now because the retrograde confirmed it. What this means is that the love that is about to flow back into your life today is not a stranger. It is not something that has no prior history in your energetic field. It is something, a connection, a feeling, a situation, a version of a relationship that was already present and already real, held in the retrograde's assessment, and now released to move forward as the confirmed, refined, retrograde-tested version of itself. For those whose love lives have been genuinely blocked during this retrograde, where everything felt stuck not just in one area but across the board, where the general energetic climate of love and connection seemed to have gone quiet in a way that felt larger than any individual situation, today the climate changes. The general restoration of Venus direct is felt as exactly what it is. The specific heaviness of the retrograde lifting, the overall flow of love and connection returning to its natural direction, the sense that the universe's engagement with the love dimension of your life has resumed its forward, generative, bringing toward you quality. This restoration is felt in the body before it is seen in circumstances. A specific lightening, a quality in today that feels different from yesterday in a way that is not yet visible in the actual situations of your love life, but that is unmistakably different at the level of what it feels like to inhabit your own life with love as part of it. That feeling is real. It is Venus direct being felt at the level where love actually lives, in the interior, in the felt sense of possibility and openness, and the specific quality of genuinely being available to receive what is coming. The first day of Venus direct is the most powerful day to be fully, genuinely, completely open to receiving what the retrograde was preparing. The released pressure of weeks of backward motion is all moving forward now, and the first direction it moves toward is wherever it finds the most genuinely receptive field. This means today is not the day for the protective contraction that the retrograde's heaviness may have trained into you. It is not the day for the managed hope and the careful not to want too much that is the reasonable response to weeks of stalling and blocking. Today is the day to let the hope be its full size again. To let the wanting be genuine and unmanaged and proportional to what you actually want rather than proportional to what seemed safely wantable during the retrograde. If someone reaches out today, respond with full presence. If an impulse arises to reach out yourself, follow it. If a conversation begins that feels like it has more layers than its surface, let it have them. If a feeling that has been held back wants to find its expression, give it the channel. Venus Direct is clearing the path for exactly these things, and your participation in the clearing, your willingness to be the open field that the restored forward flow is looking for, makes the difference between receiving what was prepared at its full size and receiving it through the diminished reception of someone still bracing against the retrograde that has already ended. The retrograde is over. The heaviness is lifting. The blocked path is clear. The invisible resistance that kept everything stalling is gone. What was frozen in your love life is flowing again today, not toward some generic future, not toward someday, toward you. Now, in the specific hours and days that follow this first day of Venus Direct, something genuinely wants to reach you. The connection that was tested by the retrograde and proved real. The feeling that was clarified by the retrograde and emerged more honest than it entered. The situation that was reviewed by the retrograde and refined into something more genuinely aligned with what you actually need. All of it is now free to move. And the beautiful, relieving, almost hard to believe truth of today is this: you did not lose any of it. The retrograde did not take what was real from you. It held it, assessed it, refined it, confirmed it, and released it today on the first day of Venus Direct into the clear, unobstructed, flowing in the right direction channel that the direct motion creates. What was stuck is moving. What was blocked is clear. What was frozen is flowing, and it is flowing toward you. Stay open, not with effort, with the simple, relieved, finally quality of someone who has been patient long enough and can now feel the thing they were patient for arriving. The door that was stuck is opened. The air is rushing through, and what has been waiting to reach you is, today, finally free. If this message reached you at the right time, there is a reason. If you want to support this work and help these messages continue to reach other lives, the link is in the description. Also share it with someone who needs to hear this today.